welcome back to The Explainer. Look, today we're doing something a little bit different. Be warned, we're about to perform a raw, absolute, zero sugarcoat system reboot on exactly how you allocate your resources, your time, and ultimately, your priorities. So, if you're tired of watching your goals just kinda slip through the cracks of everyday life, and let's be totally honest here, we all are, then you are in the exact right place. We're gonna strip away all the behavioral fraudulence and get right down to the cold, hard mechanics of execution.
So check out this quote. You make excuses only for the things that you value. Man, just let that sink in for a second. It's a real gut punch, isn't it? It completely flips our baseline assumption that we make excuses simply because we don't care. The source material argues the exact opposite. We actually only bother fabricating these elaborate stories and narratives to justify our delays when the thing we failed at deeply, truly matters to us.
Okay, so here's our structured roadmap for today. We're going to go from identifying our mental malware to executing a complete behavioral update. We're looking at the anatomy of excuses, the true value ledger, the sovereign alignment protocol, and architecting your destiny. Let's jump right in.
All right, Section 1, the anatomy of excuses, or the ego's defensive malware.
To truly understand what's holding us back, we need to clinically define the excuse matrix. Basically, think of it as a psychological buffer. When your actions don't align with who you think you are, when there's this massive friction between your stated character and your actual behavior, your brain experiences intense cognitive dissonance. It literally hurts. So, to soothe that burning discomfort, your ego deploys this defensive malware. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a false firewall. It's your brain's PR department working overtime to keep you comfortable with your own stagnation.
Let's look at what this actually looks like in real life. Say you claim to be a disciplined athlete, right? But then the alarm goes off, it's raining outside, and you skip the gym. Or maybe you see yourself as this incredibly attentive father, but there you are, doom-scrolling on the couch, completely distracted, instead of engaging with your son. It genuinely hurts to admit that we failed our own standards. So what does the ego do? It gets creative. It whispers that you're still an elite operator, but the environment was just too chaotic today. It creates a complete mirage of blame, and by doing this, it completely insulates you. It makes sure you remain a passive node just reacting to the world instead of a sovereign driver who's actually shaping it.
Now look at this complacent loop. This happens when you have a high-value intent, but you follow it up with absolutely zero execution. That gap? That triggers the excuse matrix. Now this totally soothes your ego in the moment, but ultimately it just preserves your internal rot. You feel better, but your life doesn't change one bit. Now contrast that directly with the sovereign lever. This starts with the exact same high-value intent, but instead of excuses, you get cold, hard execution. That generates raw, undeniable metrics that actively upgrade your reality. The whole difference here is entirely about bypassing the excuse matrix. You're choosing the discomfort of execution over the warm, fuzzy comfort of a good excuse.
Moving right along to Section 2, the true value ledger. Actions over words. So here is the crucial point, and it's practically an unassailable formula. True value equals energy invested plus time allocated plus friction swallowed. This forces a devastating boundary check on our behavioral fraudulence. It means you literally have to permanently delete phrases like, "I just didn't have time," or "the circumstances weren't right" from your vocabulary. You have to replace them with the unyielding sovereign truth, which is, it was simply not a high enough priority.
We have to honestly contrast our high-minded verbal declarations, those beautifully written goals and the promises we make to our friends, against the cold, empirical data of our lives. Because you can tell a lot of really noble stories to yourself, but your calendar and your bank account, they never lie. They are the undeniable data of your actual priorities. Your values do not live in your words. They are completely exposed by where you consistently place your resources.
Okay, that brings us to Section 3, the sovereign alignment protocol. Let's do some system recalibration.
So here's your sequential roadmap to actually get your daily life reflecting your highest leverage values. Step 1, execute the no-excuse verbal blackout. Step 2, reconfigure the perimeter around your true assets. And Step 3, audit the compounding balance sheet. Let's unpack these so you can actually put them to use.
All right, Step 1, the no-excuse verbal blackout. This is an uncompromised, total ban on self-justification. Think about how often we reflexively say stuff like, "Oh, traffic was insane," or "work was just a nightmare today." We do this on autopilot to cushion our failures. Starting tonight, that completely stops. If you miss a training window or drop a task, you offer zero explanations. None. You force yourself to stand unshielded in the raw data of that failure and admit, I didn't execute this today because it wasn't a priority. I chose comfort over growth. Now, I know it stings at first, but this radical ownership, it's the ultimate way to get your personal agency back. Step 2 requires you to totally reconfigure the perimeter around your true assets. Think about what you genuinely value. Your physical health, your financial runway, your family. We usually try to squeeze these in when everything else is done, right? Well, no more. You need to pull them out of the background and put them at the absolute front of your day. If working out is a priority, hit the gym early before your willpower is gone. If family is your priority, block out that evening hour with your son with the exact same unshakable security you'd apply to a massive corporate negotiation. I mean, if you wouldn't randomly cancel a meeting with your biggest client, why on earth are you canceling on your kid? Schedule your core assets first and let absolutely everything else fight for the remaining scrap capital of your day.
And that leads us to step 3, which is auditing the compounding balance sheet every single evening. Before your system shuts down for the night, before you go to sleep, you have to run a clinical translation check. Look right past your good intentions, look past what you wished had happened, and ask yourself the really hard question. Where did my finite capital of time and attention actually flow today?
Take a look at this daily audit. You have to ask yourself honestly, did I invest in valid code, or was I just suffering from energy leaks all day? Did your metrics show active investments in deep focus, clean fuel, physical friction, and legacy transmission? Or did you just leak your energy into mindless scrolling, immediate pleasures, passive consumption, and, seeking validation from the herd? If you see the rot, please do not sugarcoat it. Expose it and rewrite your operational priorities so you're ready to execute the very next morning.
Finally, Section 4, Architecting Your Destiny. Let's talk about the clean operating system.
When you fully adopt this protocol, it fundamentally transforms how you walk through the world. You permanently step out of the passenger seat. You stop playing the role of a victim who's just being pushed around by external circumstances. On this clean operating system, excuses go totally extinct. Your priorities become crystal clear, they're unquestionable, and they're instantly visible to anyone watching how you live. You realize that you, and literally only you, are the absolute architect of your trajectory. Your actions alone dictate your destiny.
So I'm going to leave you with this one stark question. When you do your audit tonight, right before your head hits the pillow, will your metrics show that you chose comfort, or will they prove that you executed for growth? The choice and the execution is entirely yours.